At 61, Juanita Bynum stunned the faith world with a revelation that no one saw coming. She stepped forward with a set of documents that could potentially change the narrative, surrounding one of the most controversial figures in modern Christian leadership, Gino Jennings. These weren't just idle claims or vague accusations. These were files, records, and letters that carried the weight of uncomfortable truths. And when she made them public, everything shifted. The drama didn't unfold quietly behind closed doors. Juanita brought this confrontation to the main stage, literally, at a major Christian conference packed with followers, leaders, and media. She walked in not just as a preacher or a prophetess, but as a woman on a mission. She stood before the audience with a calm determination, holding papers that many believe contain the kind of evidence that shakes the foundation of entire ministries. But to understand the gravity of this moment, you have to understand the people involved. Juanita Bynum is not new to the spotlight. For years, she's been a dynamic presence in the charismatic Christian movement. Known for her passionate sermons, her prophetic voice, and her unflinching honesty, she's built a ministry that emphasizes healing, revival, and spiritual truth. And she's developed a devoted following because of it. Her path hasn't been easy. She's had her share of scandals and critics, but her resilience has only deepened her influence. Then there's Gino Jennings, a man just as commanding but cut from a very different cloth. Known for his strict doctrine and confrontational preaching style, Gino leads a ministry that thrives on discipline, structure, and bold interpretations of the Bible. His no-nonsense approach has earned him both fierce loyalty and fierce opposition. While many admire his commitment to scriptural clarity, others see his message as rigid or even extreme. Their paths intersected over the years briefly, occasionally, and always under the radar. But now, with these documents out in the open, everything that was once hidden has been thrust into the light. According to those close to Juanita, the files include financial documents, private communications, and internal church records. One of the most disturbing pieces appears to be a set of financial reports suggesting that donations meant for community programs may have been misdirected or never used as intended. These claims, if proven true, strike at the heart of trust between a ministry and its followers. Alongside those records are emails and letters that hint at behind-the-scenes tension between Juanita and Gino, conversations about leadership disagreements and doctrinal disputes that were never made public. Until now. One letter, allegedly from a former insider in Jennings' camp, outlines serious concerns about how the ministry is run. While that letter is still being verified, just the suggestion of it has ignited fierce debate. So, when Juanita took the stage at that conference, she wasn't just calling out a fellow leader. She was holding up a mirror to the faith community and asking a painful question. What do we do when the people we trust to lead us may have something to hide? Her speech was calm but cutting. She spoke of transparency, justice, and the importance of shining light in places where secrecy has taken root. One by one, she pulled out the documents, showing pieces of evidence that left the audience stunned. Phones were held high. Streams went live. The moment was real, raw, and unforgettable. Gino Jennings was there in the crowd. At first, he didn't say a word. He listened, face unreadable. But when he finally did respond, the room held its breath. He didn't deny the documents existed. Instead, he challenged how they were being presented and why. He called for caution, saying that dragging private matters into the public eye could do more harm than good. But he also promised transparency, would allow outside auditors to review the ministry's financial dealings. Whether that was enough for his critics remains to be seen. In the days that followed, social media erupted. Clips of the confrontation went viral. Hashtags supporting both Juanita and Gino trended simultaneously. People weren't just picking sides, they were confronting their own beliefs about leadership, loyalty, and accountability in the church. Some hailed Juanita as a courageous truth-teller, Others stood by Gino, insisting he was under attack for being bold and uncompromising in his faith. Church leaders around the country weighed in. Some praised Juanita's courage, while others urged the community not to rush to judgment. There were calls for unity, but also for reform. One bishop reminded his followers that transparency isn't optional in ministry, it's a requirement. Another pastor called for an independent investigation, stating that it was time for churches to model the same level of integrity they preach from the pulpit. Meanwhile, Christian watchdog groups took notice. Several have started digging into the claims, some even launching fundraising campaigns to support their own reviews. For many believers, this moment isn't just about one preacher or one ministry. It's about a shift in how the faith community operates. It's no longer content with blind trust. People want proof. They want leaders held accountable. They want the church to live up to its highest ideals. Juanita, in follow-up interviews, made her position clear. She said this wasn't about revenge or rivalry. It was about safeguarding the flock, making sure that leaders who claim to represent God are truly walking in the light. Her tone was firm, but her message was one of healing. She spoke about the need for truth, not to destroy, but to cleanse and to rebuild. Gino, on the other hand, kept a more reserved profile after the confrontation. He maintained his willingness to cooperate with reviews, but he also warned against letting personal grievances tear the body of Christ apart. He asked his followers to stay focused on the mission and not get caught up in division. Yet the ripple effects of the confrontation continue. Some churches have begun reconsidering their affiliations. Others have announced plans to implement stricter financial oversight. Ministries are talking more openly about governance, accountability, and ethical leadership, topics that were often whispered about, but rarely addressed head-on. For many, this moment feels like a turning point. It's forcing uncomfortable conversations. It's exposing weaknesses in the way some ministries are structured. And it's reminding everyone that charisma and a powerful sermon aren't enough. The real test of leadership is how one handles power, money, and responsibility when no one's watching. What happens next is anyone's guess. Legal experts say formal investigations may follow. There could be mediation, audits, or even lawsuits, depending on what else is uncovered. But what's already clear is that neither Juanita nor Gino will walk away from this unchanged. Their ministries have been shaken. Their followers have been challenged. And the larger faith community has been pushed into a long overdue reckoning. This isn't just a scandal, it's a spiritual crossroads. And for those watching from the sidelines, it's a moment to reflect on what kind of leadership they want, what kind of accountability they expect, and how much truth they're willing to face when it's uncomfortable.